And we want to buy your house.
Let us help you solve your home selling situation with a fair as-is cash offer.
No fees, no agents, no repairs, plus up to $20,000 cash advance to help you move forward with confidence.
Visit sellersadvantage.com. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Today, our roads are littered with killing machines. I'm talking about semi-trucks. They can easily kill, even at low speeds. Injured in a trucking accident? We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason.
The following is a rebroadcast of Fox 11 News at 10.
Breaking news, metal shrapnel from military training exercise damaged several CHP vehicles on Saturday near Camp Pendleton, including a protective services detail for Vice President J.D. Vance. The live fire demonstration was part of an event celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Marine Corps. According to the CHP, the explosive detonated mid-flight, forcing the Marines to stop the exercise. No one was hurt, but the CHP called the incident unusual and concerning and is recommending a review. Governor Gavin Newsom criticized the event, saying it was reckless. A 17-mile stretch of Interstate 5 was closed for the event, causing gridlock and frustration. Drivers criticized the lack of coordination between state and federal officials. First at 10, a United Airlines flight coming from Denver to L.A. diverts to Salt Lake City after an object struck the plane midair, shattering the windshield and injuring the pilot with glass shards. Investigators suspect it could have been space debris or even a small meteorite. Good evening to you. I'm Susan Hirosuna. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf. He is outside LAX tonight after speaking exclusively with someone on board that flight.
A sky-high scare with urgent new questions raised by these photos and what crashed into a commercial airliner 36,000 feet above Utah.
When the pilot made his initial emergency broadcast, he told us that a window in the cockpit had shattered.
Heather Ramsey was recording the sunrise on Thursday's flight from Denver to LA when everything suddenly changed.
One flight attendant really raised her voice at the other and told her get back, get to the back of the aircraft, stop service.
Moments later, they quickly dropped 10,000 feet.
The pilot came on over the intercom and said, unfortunately, we have some bad news. The aircraft has collided with an object. Then he informed us we would have to make an emergency landing in Salt Lake City.
Heather held her phone tight through turbulence and fear, then the tense landing in Salt Lake.
I was looking out the window just thinking we could go down at any time. So it was really scary. We were all kind of holding our breath until the very end. You could definitely feel a tension on the entire aircraft.
This photo, now seen millions of times on X, shows the United Airlines pilot with apparent bruises and scratches to an arm with the plane's windshield busted. All 134 passengers safe and put on a new plane to LA, but what hit that aircraft almost 7 miles high remains a mystery.
That seems a little high for a bird to be, but people are saying, scrap metal, it could be space debris, we have drones.
The plane landed at LAX about 6 hours late. The odds of something like this happening, astronomical. According to the FAA, there's never been a space debris strike to a commercial airliner, and the chance of that happening is less than 1 trillion to 1. The NTSB releasing this statement Sunday, saying they're investigating a cracked windscreen while gathering radar, weather, and flight recorder data.
The pilot did a phenomenal job, both manning the aircraft after that happened and keeping composure.
That was Matthew Seedorf reporting. Now on to this story. Former NFL star Doug Martin has died after being taken into Oakland police custody. Officers arrested Martin early Saturday morning at a home in Oakland, responding to reports of a break-in and a medical emergency. Police say Martin briefly resisted before being detained, then became unresponsive. He was taken to a hospital where he later died. The cause of his medical emergency not known. Martin, 36, was a two-time Pro Bowl running back for the Buccaneers and Raiders. The NFL community is mourning the loss of Martin. The Buccaneers releasing this statement today on their social media page, saying in part, quote, "We are deeply saddened to learn the sudden and unexpected passing of Doug Martin. Doug made a lasting impact on our franchise. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and everyone whom Doug touched throughout his life." A bomb threat shut down a busy intersection in North Hollywood today. Sky Fox over the scene as police investigated a suspicious object near Magnolia and Laurel Canyon Boulevards at a bus stop. Officers examined the item to determine if it was explosives or just a backpack. LAPD says nothing was found inside. A traffic nightmare on the 405 this weekend with several miles through the Sepulveda Pass down to 3 lanes each way. The lane closures, part of a $144 million pavement project, started Friday night and lasted until 5, or will last until 5 tomorrow morning. Caltrans says that drivers should expect similar closures every 2 weeks, so plan ahead to avoid delays. All right, we're going to turn now to meteorologist Star Harvey with a look at your weather. Star.
Yeah, and let me just tell you, I was someone who got stuck in that 405 traffic both days this weekend. Not a pretty sight. Of course, plan ahead. For our weather, you'll be planning ahead as well. We'll get through the rest of this weekend with dry conditions. In fact, rolling over into tomorrow, we're expecting to have this warmth continue for us before we look at another midweek chance for precipitation coming in. As of right now, we're in the 60s and 70s. 71 down in Anaheim. We're at 59 in Corona, 66 in San Bernardino, Thousand Oaks at 59 in Malibu coming in just right at 71 degrees. So feeling good out there along the coastline in some areas. We do have winds kicking up at about 5 to 10 miles per hour across the area. We do have a southwest wind there pushing out of Palmdale at about 14 miles per hour. As we shift gears into tonight, our lows closer to their averages for this time of the year. That does place us in the 50s as well as the lower 60s. We will have some pockets that do stay in the 40s up in Fraser Park. We have areas in the Inland Empire, and then of course our mountains going for day 3 where temperatures are at or below that freezing mark. Rolling into tomorrow, here's a look at the warmth that does continue. We're looking at 70s and 80s back on the map. Some of us will even touch the 90s. I'll have more details on what the rest of your work week looks like coming up. For now, Susan, back to you.
Thank you, Star. Millions joined the No Kings anti-Trump protests nationwide Saturday, including here in Southern California, calling the president's actions abusive. Organizers say over 7 million participated in mostly peaceful rallies, but clashes in Portland led to 3 arrests after protesters gathered outside an ICE facility. House Speaker Mike Johnson criticized the movement, calling it flawed and politically motivated.
If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it.
Offering a vote in the Senate without a commitment that it would pass, without a commitment that the House would even take it up is an empty offer. We want to negotiate a resolution so people's health care costs don't spike, and Republicans are saying the same thing. They know they need to fix this, so let's fix it now.
Meantime, Democrats and Republicans remain at odds over government funding and health care. Talks continue as tensions rise. The U.S. military targeted a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean on Friday. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says 3 men died in the airstrike. Officials believe the boat, linked to a Colombian terror group, carried large amounts of drugs. This marks the 7th strike under the Trump administration's intensified efforts to block illegal drugs like fentanyl. However, some lawmakers argue these actions are illegal and are calling for them to end. Israel and Hamas now accusing each other of violating the ceasefire deal just 1 week after the U.S. brokered a peace agreement between the 2 entities. Israel launched its heaviest wave of attacks on Sunday. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Israel says it will continue to allow aid into Gaza following violations of a fragile ceasefire with Hamas. And the Israeli military says 2 IDF soldiers have been killed by the militant group during combat in Gaza Sunday. In response, Israel launched dozens of airstrikes into the territory in what is the heaviest bombardment since the U.S. brokered ceasefire began a week ago. Hamas also accused Israel of violating the peace agreement and says the military has not stopped its attacks in the region.
This is the reality. This is the truce. It is a truce colored in red. It is all blood. What truce?
This comes as Israeli demonstrators are demanding the return of dead hostages who remain in Gaza. Over a dozen are still there.
We don't want to go back to fighting, God forbid, but this whole ordeal must end and all the hostages must be returned.
Hamas says the destruction left behind in Gaza following 2 years of war has slowed down efforts to recover hostages' bodies, some of whom are buried under the rubble. Since the ceasefire, all the remaining living hostages have been returned to Israel. And in central Israel, 2 of them were met with a cheering crowd after their discharge from the hospital.
We still can't believe it, that it's reality, and we waited for this moment for 2 years.
Despite the tension, Israel and Hamas say they are committed to maintaining the ceasefire. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
While the ceasefire remains fragile, a second phase is in the works. It will reportedly focus on disarming Hamas and withdrawal of Israeli troops from areas in Gaza. A massive healthcare strike over now, but the fight is not. Kaiser workers are demanding big changes, and negotiations are set to resume. And a daring heist at the Louvre.